Welcome into Husker247 Daily, 10 minutes of Husker talk at 10 a.m. I'm Mike Schaefer, joined by Michael Bruntz, who's a little bit under the weather. And so I will try to help him not over exercise his voice here this morning. Bruntz, I'd ask you how you're feeling, but I know that you're feeling miserable. So we'll skip that one. I'll answer that for you. Let's just dive right into it and make this as quick as possible, and I can elaborate where you need me to. Dana Holgorsen talked on Tuesday, and he talked about Nebraska's need to create explosive plays. The Huskers only had one play for more than 20 yards on Thursday against Cincinnati. Kind of what did you take away from the veteran offensive coordinator's thoughts on what Nebraska needs to do to create explosive plays and why that was their game plan on Thursday against the Bearcats?
Yeah, it's interesting. That was the game plan. They were going to dink and dunk and then hope that Nebraska's skill position players could break tackles and make plays. And, for the most part, that didn't happen. And you saw a lot of guys just kind of going down when they caught the ball, or a shoestring tackle here or there that probably limited a big play. But, Dana's takeaway from that game was, was that the game plan? Yes. Is the lack of explosive plays acceptable? Absolutely not. So I think that's something that this week they're going to really hammer home. As much as, last week it was kind of take what the defense gives you. I think that with the wide receivers especially, the preaching this week is, make a play, like break a tackle, get downfield. A lot of the rub route type stuff can turn into a big game by a guy just slipping a tackle and getting upfield. So that was kind of the message from him. I mean, I think a lot of people that watched that game came away thinking like, okay, you need to show a little bit more on offense. And I think Dana agrees with that overall kind of take. I think, the thing for him now is how do you kind of, shift into a new game plan and find some of those, big plays that make not having to go on a 10 or a 12 play drive a little bit easier.
What's your level of surprise that Nebraska had so much issue in terms of slipping a tackle or making big plays? At least to me, Bruntz, it doesn't seem like they lack playmakers at the wide receiver position. We know that Isaiah Hunter can be explosive. We know that Dane Key has had big, long catches in his career. We know that Ja'Cory Barney can shake some people loose. Do you think it was a one-off, or is any part of you concerned we saw this a little bit at times last year too? Different cast of characters, but similar issue of just kind of struggling to get intermediate to big play yardage.
Yeah, I'm not concerned yet. I mean, I think, it's a different cast, and I think it's a better cast overall. Like, I think, especially in Isaiah Hunter, he's a guy that gets downfield in a hurry. And, the catch that he had in the end zone, I mean, that's a guy making a play. Even the one down the sideline on the left, like if he would have kept his feet, I mean, that was going to go for more yardage too. But I feel like they have the potential to get in there and make plays. It's just a matter of just kind of doing it. I actually thought in my multiple watchbacks of that game, I thought Cincinnati actually tackled pretty well for week one. I mean, they were Dana kind of mentioned in passing, like, oh, they were tackling low, or that was the lowest tackling team I've ever seen in my life. And they got Nebraska on the ground pretty well for week one. So that was part of it, but I don't have concerns. I mean, if we're coming out of the Houston Christian game and still wondering where the big plays are, I'm going to be a little bit more concerned then. But, it felt like, that game, Nebraska just needed to kind of put the ball in play. And it's almost like in college baseball when you bunt and you force the team to have to make a defensive play. And Cincinnati, to their credit, made a lot of plays in that one. So ask me 3 weeks from now, and I would be concerned if it was still happening, though.
Is the wide receiver screen the equivalent of a bunt?
I don't know. We didn't see it. We didn't see much of it.
Fair.
I think there was a short one to Hunter, kind of a quick one.
3-yard drag, is that the equivalent to a bunt?
Yeah, probably so. Or that they kind of run that motion to Emmett Johnson out in the flat. Yeah. Maybe that's more the bunt. I think
they should have went for the bunt on 4th and 2.
Yeah, Yeah.
Raiola should have been looking to bunt. That was open immediately, and then by the time he got back to it, it was nearly disaster.
Yeah, he faked the bunt and then tried to bunt again, and it wasn't there. So,
Incredible visual.
like,
Uh,
what's your level of concern? Like, are you like it? I don't know. Like, I guess I'm just not. I'm not hitting the panic button yet.
I don't know that I'm hitting the panic button, but I will say that are there was a little more similarity to last year's plottingness than I would have liked to see in the first game of the season. Now, some of that Cincinnati made plays, some of that Cincinnati didn't allow people to go deep with their safety looks. They kept everything in front of them. So I give them credit for largely doing that, but it's hard for me not to see parts of the UCLA or USC game where you're down and you need to go score and it feels like it takes Nebraska 17 minutes of real time to get 25 yards because it just is so plotting. And every single time it's got to get 3-4 here and then another 3-4. And then it's a 3rd and 2 you have to convert. Or, it's 2nd and 5. And instead of picking up positive yards, you're going back a little bit. So some of it is, I just don't know. I don't want to see that again from last year. I don't want plotting to be the word that you described for this Nebraska offense. And that's a little bit what Thursday looked like. I don't think that's what it has to look like overall. But, until they show something different a little bit, it's hard for me not to think that. I mean, multiple of their games, even with Dana Holgorsen, have sort of all had that still, where it just takes them seemingly a long time to go score. And that's not always by design either. Now, maybe it was on Thursday, but like I said, we'll see how that looks as we get into the season. You mentioned Houston Christian. Akron gave up over 400 yards to Wyoming, only 10 points, but I think Nebraska should have a weekend of being able to move the ball against that Akron defense. So we'll see how that goes on Saturday. We'll also see how it looks for more of the newcomers, and they're probably going to have an opportunity to flood the bench, and so we're good to see more debuts. But of the ones we saw on Thursday, Bruntz, I know Isaiah Hunter stands out with what he did, and obviously Dane Key picked up a touchdown as well. Who else sort of stood out for you that you had never seen play as a Nebraska Husker before?
Dawson Merritt, him kind of getting into that mix, the linebacker mix. That was kind of intriguing. I mean, I think we had been told all fall that Jacob Bauer was going to be the 4th man in that rotation, and Merritt was in there a little bit more than what I was expecting that first game. I assumed that he was probably going to be a non-redshirt guy, just because I figured he was going to have a special teams role in some way. But he got in there, looked bigger than he did in the spring. I mean, he's done a lot of work, and I think he's a guy that bears watching a little bit more. Especially Watson Trent was nursing an injury, didn't look great in that game.
Did not look explosive. Did not look like the instinct tackling machine that I
Yeah,
thought that they might be getting. And in a weird way, felt better that I heard that there was a bit of an injury
yeah.
than like whatever that was on Thursday.
Yeah, but I'm eager to see more Dawson Merritt. I mean, he was a guy that got sideline to sideline in a hurry in high school, and I'm intrigued by what he can do there. How about you?
Williams Nwaneri, obviously, I thought stood out. I mean, a lot of it was backside pursuit. You want to see more kind of push up front, but I thought that he played well in his role. Deshaun McCullough had a few moments here there. I'm really worried about him in terms of just being on the field for Nebraska with in regards to rush defense. Like the whole front seven struggled against a run, right? But he's built in such a unique way that if he chooses wrong, like if he cuts inside and it's an outside run, that whole edge is just given away. Like I wonder, how you can kind of get away utilizing him up front, because I just don't know that he's got the physical ability to hold or seal an edge. And so he's got to win or get in the backfield and create havoc, because I don't know that he can pull the Keona Davis or Cam Lenhart or Riley Van Poppel or any of those guys where you're expecting him to hold territory for the reinforcements to come up. So he looked good in spurts, and then at other times, I'm left kind of curious how that's going to go for him in obvious run situations when he's on the field.
Yeah, I think that just kind of highlights too how good MJ Sherman was at that last
Yeah,
year. He
that's a
was
great point.
he was very good at setting an edge. Not as much his first year, but his second year, he was really good at that.
Yeah, and then he became a pretty effective pass rusher on top of it too. I mean,
Yeah.
he was very good at that. And we talk about Robinson and Hutmaker, but MJ Sherman was an important part of that front seven last year too, and the year before. So, all right, well, we touched on a few things there. We invite you to check out everything else we have going on at Husker 24/7 right now, and of course, the Hypecast will be coming later this week. More Husker 24/7 Daily. We'll catch you tomorrow at 10 a.m.